Boys, girls, ladies, gents, it's your boy 12-inch back at you with another video. This is going to be over Belisarius Prime, the new cab commander coming out. I know everybody else has already done their video and you guys are like, what could you possibly have, blah, blah, blah. Look, point is, I didn't want to make my video too early. As you guys may or may not know, I already have 3 marches. Those marches being my trusty Scipio LC, my ZL Herman, and my Nevsky Joan. So right now I'm looking to expand to my 4th march. I do have Guan, I do have Alex. I could go Guan Scipio, I could go Alex LC. I don't have enough gear to where I really want to do that right now, and I'd rather go to another cavalry. As I have been telling a lot of my coaching clients, by the way, if you guys didn't know, I do coaching, $35 for an on-stream session, $75 for an off-stream session. If you guys are interested in that type of thing, y'all should go to the Discord in the description below. As I myself have been waiting for the next cab release, and I have been telling my clients to do so, the implied next release, so currently without the release of Belisarius, we have 2 top tier marches for cav, and generally that is some combination of Nevsky and Joan and QB and William. Some people are running QB Joan, Nevsky William. I suspect this is because QB's damage is going to be much higher than Nevsky. So in a world where you have both sets of gear completely equal, you probably want the Nevsky Joan and the QB William. But if you have one set of gear that is better than the other, you'd rather have Nevsky, the debuffer, and William, the utility piece, on one march with QB and Joan on the other march. I think that makes sense. That might be something that I go for as well, just because obviously I'm going to have not equal sets of cap gear. Or maybe I won't. Anyway, point is, those 4 commanders in the order of like Nevsky, Joan, QB, and William, probably in that order. I mean, QB and Nevsky might be a little more interchangeable depending on the number of marches you have. But anyway, point is, those are the marches that I had, right? So my thought process was William is going to get knocked off and we're going to have Belisarius Prime come up. Whatever I'm looking for here is going to have huge ramifications when it comes to my account personally. So I took a second to just take a step back and see what all the other content creators were saying before I made my decision. So currently I have 478 sculptures. I have 52 extra QB sculptures. We're currently on a wheel and I'm in no rush as we are just finishing our KVK, which we won. Shout out to my boys in 365. However, we're going to be looking for our next investment. That is where the new commander comes in. So Belisarius Prime. So I'll go through his abilities real quick, let you guys know what I think, and then, what my investments are going to be based on that. There is another cavalry com that has come out that I'll talk to after my investments, which is going to be Eleanor of Aquitaine. First, we're just going to cover Belisarius Prime. So over here, we can see he's got the cavalry tree, the versatility tree, and the mobility tree, just like the regular Belisarius. Frankly, these trees don't excite me. They're not very enthusing. They mean that he is forever relegated as a secondary unless he's a specific utility piece. The mobility tree is very, very, very bad. If he had at least the Conquering Tree, we could talk about Buckler Shield and Moment of Triumph, perhaps, and try and get some extra value out of him. But for as of right now, it looks like he's going to go straight Cavalry Tree, dip his toes a little bit in the Mobility Tree, and maybe in the Versatilities Tree for a little extra stats. I'm not entirely sure. I'm not, like, these trees are really bad. He's generally going to be a secondary because of this. Over here, we have his primary ability. We have 2400 damage factor, and for the next 2 seconds, the target loses 50 rage per second. If the target is surrounded, is inflicted with deception, so its active skills require 200 more rage to use. Now, if your target is surrounded, your target's basically always going to be surrounded, and for the next 5 seconds, its active skills are going to require 200 more rage. The losing 50 rage a second, I'm not sure how it's going to interact with what we know to be the rage cap. The 50 rage per second could be really good, or it could just get negated by like nearby Trajans or Jones, or not Trajans, Jones or... No, Jones, yeah. Jones or Williams? I think William also gives a rage buff. Anyway, point is, the rage per second loss, I don't think is that big of a deal. Requiring 200 more rage to use could be the equivalent of like a 1 second silence, 2 second silence. Kind of okay, right? But it's a single target thing. So as a single target, not really great. On the flip side, I mean, for attacking structures, it could be really good. However, if you're like me, if you're a free-to-play low spender type of situation, even if you are a higher spender, this is a really, really hard justification. Like, could this silence like be good in certain circumstances? Just like when Guan used to be really in the meta, you just surround him with a bunch of Guans and kill everything. It could, right? But that's not something we generally like to invest in. All right, so next. Also, I'd like to say that single target isn't bad, but 2400 damage factor, I really want to see this go a little bit up. It's a little unfortunate. Over here, we're going to see stats. We got 30% cold, hard attack. Boom, not bad. We got 20% march speed. So overall, 20% march speed, 30% attack. Not one of the strongest skill splits in the game right now, but I mean, like, pretty good. Like, I mean, like, cavalry is generally very health heavy. It's just attack is generally worth less in Season of Conquest because Crystal Tech is going to give you so much overall attack. But I mean, it's not bad. It's okay. The thing here is the cavalry march speed bonus when you're exiting combat is really bad. I've been seeing some people try to talk about it like it's not bad. The thing is, to exit combat means you drop rage. And if somebody is attacking you, that's when you want to move fast. After they've stopped attacking you, you're probably already out. Or if you're attacking somebody, you don't want them to get far enough away from you to where they drop combat. If they're just repeatedly dropping combat, you're not getting abilities off. I mean, it's okay, but it's only like a 5-second march speed bonus. If it was like a 10-second, we could start to argue about it, I guess. But like, this is a really, 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 really mid ability. It's just, it doesn't really do what it's looking to do. Exiting combat just doesn't make sense. Like, are we farm killing? I mean, like, in farm killing, there's nothing wrong with having 1 or 2 people that are on a mission for farm killing. But if I wanted kills, I'd invest into siege. You know what I mean? Like, if I wanted, you know, like non-murder ball kills, I'd probably make a siege march, which I think has its own viability at this point. Anyway, enough of that. That's for another video. But next ability, To the Last Man. 25% cav defense, we like to see it. When this commander is on the map, whenever it launches a basic attack, it has a 10% chance to deal extra direct damage to the target with a 5-second cooldown. That's okay. I mean, like, 25% defense is good, right? We're looking at like 50, 75% of stats already from these two things. In terms of like overall stats, that's pretty big. It's pretty nice. The direct damage factor, personally, I don't really like it too much. I did see, shout out to a bus driver. Yeah, I watched one of his videos where he was talking about potentially cheeseburgering with the march, or, you know, going in and out of a murder ball, you know, just trying to poke. I didn't see a huge benefit to playing differently because of the way this commander is built. From what I can see, he just has a bunch of stats. His single target on hit isn't really bad. His single target damage for his ability isn't really bad. He seems like he'd do well with QB primary as just an overall stat stick with like the hunter inscription, since they're both single target. I mean, like, it's like, that's how I would see it. Next is going to be 10% skill damage reduction. Murder balls, I'm not gonna lie, skill damage reduction is awesome right now. It is really, 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 really nice to see any kind of skill damage reduction. If the target troop has less than 80% units remaining, you deal 30% more skill damage. This is very reminiscent of Oblique Tactics, where you do 25% extra damage if your opponent was under 50% total units. Less than 80% units remaining is kind of all the time, bro. Like, very few people are going to be like max units pretty consistently in a murder ball. So pretty solid. Like, I really like that. And for his expertise, we have Roman Devotion. I have heard, so in terms of the pacification of Nika, this is pretty good. We like the skill damage reduction. We like the skill damage bonus that's basically almost always going to be on. Is this better than YSG's 4th, which is 50%? Kind of. Like, it's okay. It's just not like, it's not the best. That's kind of the story of this entire commander. It's like, it's pretty good, but it's not great. And then for his expertise, we got Roman Devotion. So based on how many people are surrounding a troop, the target's damage received is going to go up. So if you tap it, everybody around it is going to be swinging. I have heard like some rumors that they might switch up this commander. They might update it a little bit. I would be a little careful with it, just because could they buff this commander slightly? They could. I mean, the commander could use some extra stats. Like, if we're looking at this over here, like 40% attack here, like 35% defense would probably go a long way to making this commander better. Or they could just remove the direct damage factor here, and they could make this like 3,000 single target damage factor. This was like 3,000 single target damage factor. That'd be pretty cool, right? That wouldn't be too bad. People would have a much different reaction to a very consistent skill cycle than they would kind of like the weird gimmicky stuff that Belisarius has going on. Overall, this commander seems good for swarming stuff, right? Because you're gonna apply like Roman Devotion and stuff, which is cool. But on the same token, you know, it's just not gonna be that much better than whatever we have now. This is definitely not better than Nevsky. Like, this for 5 troops is 12% damage, which is always up. So if you have 4 marches currently, and this guy's going into your 5th march, or your 6th march, or your 7th march, this man definitely has a place in 7 marches. He definitely has a place in 6 marches. He probably has a place in 5. And that's kind of the issue I come to with this character. So as you guys know, I was talking about earlier, I am currently making my next march, right? So I've got about like 500 sculptures or whatever, and I'm looking to go for QB, right? And the question now is, do I want to go for Belisarius, or do I want to go for William? Right? And I think that's kind of what this video is going to come down to. I think it's going to come down to a matter of who should we be investing in at this point? Why should we be investing in them? The 2 people that are being contested is William and Belly, because Belly's not better than QB. He's not better than Joan. He's not better than Nevsky. Even with his buffs, I'd be very, very hard pressed to see him better than those commanders. He definitely has good utility. He's just not better. When we look over here, you know, we look at William. He's kind of an older busted commander, if we're being honest. You know, his direct damage factor is not that much. He's hitting 3 troops. I don't really know if it's going to be the same thing. I mean, like, the 30% March speed reduction is really nice, but again, like, he's not really doing that much damage, right? The main reason why you'd want this guy is because he is taking all of the skill damage buffs away from people. Every single commander has like a bunch of skill damage buffs. You know, we're talking about Herman. We're talking about Belisarius Prime now. We're talking about QB. We're talking about Hunter. We're talking, like, everything is getting like neutered by this guy. So every single time we see a commander like Belisarius come out, which is single target skill damage, this guy actually gets better. You know, his second ability is pretty good. Like, just in terms of overall like stats, you know, we're looking at like 20% attack, right? We're looking at the other guy who's 30% attack. The other guy was 20% March speed. This is 15% March speed, 10% damage bonus, and you know, the other guy is dragging his feet on it, his March bonus, right? So like we have like decently competitive abilities here, right? In terms of getting direct damage factor, you're also going to have more direct damage factor coming out of William, which is kind of crazy. Now that I read it again, this is pretty strong. This is a pretty strong ability at first. It's still kind of a strong ability, which is kind of weird. Yeah, and then, you know, over here we're going to see like more defensive bonuses. We're going to see like other troops getting rage. You know, we're going to see like just extra steroids out of this guy, right? So whether or not he's strictly better than Belly, I think Belly is probably better than him, right? I mean, like, I really like William. I think a lot of people really like William. But I mean, strictly, if I were to offer you a Belly Prime expertise or William the first expertise, and you only have 2 cav marches in your 5 march, you're probably going to be taking Belly. And I think that's a totally fine idea. However, let me present you with an alternate table. So if you are investing in this wonderful game called Rise of Kingdoms, you are looking to expertise a commander probably once every 3 months. Getting William doesn't have to be expertise. Belisarius Prime, especially his expertise, is crazy. He really needs it. William's expertise is fine, but it's not that crazy. His 4th ability is fine, but it's not that crazy, right? You only need 1 point to get the extra 50 rage per second on all your boys, right? So maybe you want to get William to a 5-5-1-1, a 5-5-5-1, and then you're kind of good to go, right? Another thing is you can get William from dailies. You can get William from Hearts of Desire. You can get William from Sovereign Keys. You can get William from damn near anywhere. This dude is readily available. These 84 sculptures, I don't even think I've ever spun for William. I just have 84 William sculptures and an unlock sitting around, right? He's cheaper to be able to get usability off of. He does different things than Belisarius Prime and does things like counter exactly what Belisarius Prime is trying to do. And on top of that, he's readily available. It's really, really hard to compare the William we have here to the Belisarius Prime we have here when we consider the price tags. I think the price tags are just right now too high on the Belisarius Prime. If you are just coming to Season of Conquest and this is your first time there and you're buying dailies, you're probably buying dailies for Scipio, you're probably buying dailies for Nevsky, right? So you can't afford to spend dailies into William. However, for a lot of us older players that already have like quite a few William sculptures laying around, Belisarius Prime doesn't really make a lot of sense to invest in. However, if you're just transitioning to Season of Conquest and you're looking to have 2 cavalry marches, I think you'd be really hard pressed to not go for like Nevsky Joan and then QB Belly, right? There's really no reason to invest in William the First if you don't already have him. But if you already have William the First, this is a really marginal upgrade from where I'm sitting. Now, Belisarius Prime could come out, they could tweak him, he could just be really OP. These are my gut feelings when I look at him, and my feelings kind of based on the analysis that I've seen of a lot of other people. I've seen some people try to defend Belisarius Prime. It reminds me a lot of when Infantry had the Sargon Tarek release after the Scipio release, right? The Scipio release was historically one of the strongest commanders like of all time. For his time up until today, Scipio's still nuts. And then afterwards we got Sargon and Tarek. And Tarek was actually not too bad. We found out later that the Scipio Tarek march was good, but that's neither here nor there. Just basically, Sargon was bad. Some people really were trying to like cope that Sargon was good. He came out and, you know, unsurprisingly, Sargon wasn't good. However, Sargon did find his way in a meta 5 march and a meta 7 march. Sargon did have his place, right? He just wasn't great. So if you consider the fact that at that point people were running Guan, Alex, Scipio, Tarek, you know, if you didn't already have Alex, if you were to choose between Alex and Scipio, or Alex and Sargon, you would have picked the Sargon, right? Because Guan Sargon was a strictly stronger march for your 7 march. Very similar situation. If you already got the William, I wouldn't touch him. If you don't have the William and you're looking for 2 cav marches, I would consider him. I think he's fine. Overall, super long yap session. Sorry to my editor, but you know, I felt like this needed more looking. I feel like he gets a lot of hate he probably shouldn't be getting. He probably also gets more props than he should be getting, but I mean, overall, like, not a terrible commander. Cavalry's been at the top of rock for a very long time. Second commander, we're just gonna go through it real quick. Over here, we're gonna have 2300 damage factor, and this commander's taking less skill damage. Cavalry units gain 20% attack, garrison skill. Commander's cavalry units gain 15%, garrison skill. Commander's troops deal 10% more damage, garrison skill. Expertise, 5% less damage, 10% more damage to the current target. So we went through these real quick. She's got like okay stats. It's nothing really to look crazy about. I think if you were to invest into a cavalry MGE commander, for example, if you're running 3 cavalry marches, you probably go something like Nevsky Joan, QB Belly, and perhaps it'd probably be XY William, huh? Yeah, I don't know if you ever invest in her. I mean, like, is she going to be good for Garrison? Perhaps, but I mean, that's just not what this channel is about. I wouldn't really stake my reputation on if I like her for Garrison or not, because I'm never going to use her for Garrison. And the vast majority of people I know and that you know and watching and liking and all that stuff, we're not going to be using her. So really, close your eyes, throw her out of your mind. The only real question you have to ask is, should I invest in Belly? And I think this video has done a good job answering that question. If you guys enjoyed this type of content, be sure to leave a like, consider subscribing, leaving a comment if you disagreed or if you did agree. And if you guys want to help support the channel, of course, we are a sponsored content creator with Rise of Kingdoms, and this is a sponsored video, but you guys can always donate to the Streamlabs link in the description below. Also, we do coaching. I talked about it earlier, but again, if you guys want a on-stream or off-stream coaching session, please consider going to the Discord in the description below and making a ticket. Without further ado, guys, I'll catch you fine gents later. Have yourselves a wonderful day. Bye.